I'm Ray Benjamin, and this is the In the Cut podcast, where professional screenwriters come to break down their favorite episodes of TV. This season is all about the Emmys. We're focusing on shows that have been honored by the Television Academy. And today, we're going to talk about one of my favorites, Atlanta.
We in the cut.
Atlanta is an FX comedy series created by and starring Donald Glover. The show follows college dropout Earn Marks and his rapper cousin Alfred, aka Paperboy, as they navigate a strange and surreal Atlanta hip-hop scene. The show instantly became a critical and cultural phenomenon when it debuted in 2016 and went on to earn multiple Emmy nominations. In Barbershop, the 5th episode from the 2nd season, Alfred is taken on a literal wild ride as he tries to get a haircut from Bibby, his skilled but completely unreliable barber. This episode is brought to you by Roadstar Detailing LA, which provides mobile car wash services in the greater Los Angeles area. For more info or to schedule a car wash, visit roadstardetailingla.com. And here to take a trip down to Atlanta with me is the lovely Kyra Jones.
Thank you for having me in Atlanta, which is exactly where we are right now.
We're not. So Kyra started off as an indie filmmaker before getting staffed on TV shows like Woke on HULU, Queens on ABC, and you even had your web series, The Right Swipe. And you've also sold shows to Freeform, Sony, Lionsgate, among others. So thank you so much for being here.
I am so happy to be here.
Yeah, so before we get started, we're going to play a little game I call Fade In, Fade Out. Basically, I'm going to just give some rapid fire statements about Atlanta on theme with the show. And if you're here for it, you'll flip the sign and say fade in. If you're not, fade out. So
okay. All right. I've only been to Atlanta twice. And
I
didn't go outside, so
it's okay.
I was just on set for Queens the whole time, hanging out with Brandy, which, that's a pretty good Atlanta experience.
That sounds
fade in on hanging out with Brandy.
Okay, so first, Andre 3000 flute album.
I can never fade out on Andre, even if it's not my taste.
It was good music to take a nap to.
Yeah, for sure. It's not turn up flute music like Lizzo, but
no. Peach cobbler.
Oh, fade in.
I
make good peach cobbler.
Fade out. Because I just don't like pie in general. I don't like pie. Cobbler's pie adjacent. I know everyone's going to hate me.
It's okay. You know what? Everybody's different.
That's true. Childish Gambino music.
Duh.
Of course, we gotta fade in.
Yeah, I've been a fan forever.
Donald Glover, the GOAT. We love him. Atlanta favorite, strip clubs.
Oh yeah, fade in. I love a strip club.
Fun time.
I used to pole dance. I don't anymore. Yeah, not professionally, but just for fun.
So fade in on that.
Yeah.
And lastly, lemon pepper wings.
I guess I should move to Atlanta because I'm fading in on everything.
I'm gonna fade out just because I don't like wings in general. I like the flavor if it was a
like
different
lemon pepper,
like a tender chicken.
Okay.
Nugget,
yeah, lemon pepper nuggets. That sounds good.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Boneless wings, which are just nuggets.
Yeah. So speaking of food, we got to transition the show. My man Paperboy.
Yes.
He thought he was gonna get some wings in this episode.
He did. No, he thought he was gonna get a haircut, right?
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. But there's a moment where the barber says, I'm gonna give you some food.
And he does not.
No. So let's move on to our favorite trapper, Paperboy.
Yes.
So, why did you want to talk about this episode of Atlanta? Why'd you pick this one?
As you might be able to tell, I do frequent the barbershop.
Yes.
And black barbershops are such a very specific cultural experience. And I got so many wacky barber stories. And, because I mostly hang out with other women who are not in barbershops, I don't know, I feel like I don't really have much to... They don't know what I'm talking about all the time when I'm sharing those stories unless I'm talking to a black man. And so I always really get excited when I see the barbershop experience represented accurately in TV and film. Like, there's also an episode of Blackish where Dre is having a crisis because his barber is getting old and keeps, like, messing up his lineup and giving him a little crooked one. He's like, well, you can't cheat on your barber. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, I feel that because I've definitely had to get an emergency haircut because my barber was with one of his 3 baby mamas. And, like, I had an audition, and then the next time I went to my regular barber, he was mad because my lineup wasn't the lineup he did. So I know that experience. So I get excited when I see it on TV.
Highly relatable.
Highly relatable. Oh, my God.
So Atlanta opens, the cold open really establishes Paperboy. As he said, he's trying to get a haircut. He goes into the barbershop, but his barber is on the phone, like, clearly not paying him any attention. Al is repeatedly like, hey, I need to go. Can you just give me the usual? And he's just on the phone yapping, not paying any attention. And really, then the inciting incident is when the barber drags Al along. He says he gets another call from his girlfriend. He needs to go run an errand. And he's like, I'll give you the haircut. Just come with me. Come with me.
I'm never following my barber anywhere. Absolutely not.
No, but what I love about this episode in particular is that Atlanta is rightfully praised, for being very surreal, unique. But I think all of the episodes really are rooted in sort of a traditional sitcom structure.
1,000%.
So how do you think they can stay fresh while adhering to that formula?
Atlanta is, I think, one of the most unique shows that's ever been on television. Yes. I think that's why so many shows try to copy it. Every show with a rapper now is just Atlanta asterisk something, like White Atlanta, Dave, Long Beach Atlanta, the Vince Staples show. But it really set a tone that people really resonate, especially I think Black people resonated with, because we don't usually get to be surreal in that kind of way. So I think just adding that magical realism to the sitcom structure. And it was clear that Donald Glover just doing whatever the fuck he wanted in that writer's room. And it seemed like maybe FX kind of just let him, which I think allowed him to keep it fresh, because he wasn't having to take all of these white execs' notes that were not going to be conducive to what he was trying to do, to the culture that he was trying to play in. And so, every episode, even whether or not I like he would say what you want about Donald Glover, he will swing for the fences. Whether he misses or not, you can say you have never seen anything like that before. And I just love that he experimented, whether it worked or it didn't, like, he was going to do what he wanted to do and say what he wanted to say. So.
Yeah, and I think it proves that you can be experimental and still adhere to, like, how to tell a story properly and have a 3-act. Because I think sometimes I hear from a lot of newer writers, or even just watching newer shows on cable and streamer where you're not forced to adhere to act breaks because there's no commercials. That doesn't mean your story structure has to fall apart, and you can still be creative and unique and tell a story with a clear beginning, middle, and end, and know how to tell a story properly.
Yeah, I will say, because I read a lot of aspiring writers, even working writers, samples, and what I have to give notes on the most frequently, especially if it's a half-hour comedy, is structure. I'm like, TV, you have to follow the structure. The features, you can be a little more loose with it, but half-hour comedies, like, it has to be, even if you're being as weird as Atlanta, that structure still has to be there. And so I really appreciate that he was able to maintain. I mean, he is a very, very ingenious, talented writer. Again, whether or not however you feel about Donald Glover, because I know he can be a little divisive to some people. I love him.
Me too.
But hire me. You can't deny that he's an excellent writer, and he knows his craft like the palm of his hand. So
Agreed. So in Act 1, we really see Paperboy and the barber go off on their adventure. They get in the car. Bibby is bullshitting in the car, trying to sell him some like cable or something.
Yep.
They get to his girlfriend's house. She's clearly frustrated, and we see that he's not just bullshitting Alfred, Paperboy. He bullshits her. Like, that's his persona.
Mm-hmm.
He's a liar. Yeah, he's a liar. He's a scammer. She's mad at him for being late. He's like, I'm just trying to be a good Christian. You taught me about Jesus. Like, he brings Jesus into it, which is hilarious. And finally he's like, okay, come get your hair cut. Paperboy thinks it's gonna be him, but he's not talking to him. He's talking to the little boy, his girlfriend's kid. So Paperboy has to sit there and watch his little kid get a haircut over him. And so really this episode is very just self-contained, very episodic. It's really just one premise, like, how far are you willing to go for a haircut? And that's just the whole joke. The entire episode is just one escalating joke. So why do you think it works so well, even though it is very simple,
Yeah, it's such a simple goal and obstacle that Paperboy have. Get a haircut, obstacle, yo, barber is a crackhead. Like, and I mean, I think, one, what we were talking about, just that specific culture of the barbershop, like anyone who has had a black barber, been in a black barbershop, like, what that is. Like, that you will sometimes be waiting an hour. That sometimes my barber's going to be on the phone, like, talking about the micro bullies that he breeds and not cutting my hair. Like, I'm not making that up. That's a thing that's happened. And so I think, one, again, it's like very traditional sitcom of like this episode where somebody like goes on a simple caper. Even if you look at like the pilot of Abbott Elementary, like, her goal is to get a rug.
Yes.
And like everything just keeps escalating and making it harder for her to get a rug. So I think usually the stakes are low for sitcoms, but all of the conflicts like heighten it.
Yes.
It's like this simple thing should not be so hard to get. But what makes it funny is that it's so hard to get in this situation.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, that's just classic sitcom storytelling. And it makes it funny and relatable. I think sometimes as writers, we get caught up thinking we have to have some crazy high concept or, just weird things going on, but you can take something that's very relatable, very low stakes to the world, but feels high stakes to that person, and make a story out of that. And not everything has to be like, oh, I'm an alien doing like crazy stuff. You know?
You could just be a nigga trying to get a haircut.
Exactly. So in Act 2, we have sort of an escalation of what's going on. So Bibby the barber has pissed off his girlfriend. He was supposed to pay some bills, but we see the power gets cut off, the water gets cut off. He steals her money and sort of dips out to not deal with any of it. So they're back in the car driving. Rightfully so, Paperboy is pissed off. Bibby's like, oh, it's okay, you hungry? I'm gonna get you some food.
And he didn't like start his haircut. It's like,
yeah, so it's like half, like he looks like
you can't leave like that.
He can't even go to a new barber because it's sort of halfway done. So he says he's going to get him some food. He just needs to make another quick stop. So they stop at this house that's under construction. Yes. And he picks up this bag of food.
Yes.
That's like clearly, I don't know how many days, how many hours this food
is. Whose food is this?
Whose food is? And he's like, oh, you can have some of this food.
Ghetto.
Which is ridiculous. And then Al, rightfully mad, he wants to leave, but the barber ropes him again. He's like, okay, we can leave, just let me load this lumber in my truck. So they're loading the lumber.
Why do barbers always have like 50 side hustles?
Hey, it's rough out here. It's a rough economy. You need 3 jobs.
I guess.
I got
like that
jobs.
when the economy is good.
That's true.
Like, I'm telling you, my barbershop in Chicago was a combination barbershop / shoe store / tattoo parlor / dog breeding facility. Like,
oh no, that's too much.
That's a lot. It's a lot. But the fades were crispy and they were $20, so I shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Yeah.
$20.
$20.
Unheard of.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to just take it in that case. Yeah. So the homeowner comes and sees, that Bibby and Al are stealing this wood. Yeah. And she's like, hey, what are you doing? You're robbing me. He flips it around like, no, ma'am, your husband, he owes me money. And I'm just taking back what's mine.
Oh, scammer.
He is such like a good liar. Throughout the whole episode, you see him getting caught in these situations and he sort of just worms his
Always
way.
Gets out of it.
Never suffers any consequences, really. He's always just scheming. And it's funny because on this episode, Paperboy is very passive, actually. As writers, we're often told, don't have a passive protagonist, but it works in this episode. Why do you think it works in this case?
That's a great question. I mean, I think just how ridiculous that this man is, that Bibby is. And he's a character that we've never seen on the show before. We never see again. And Paperboy is the series regular that's in the episode. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it works because Paperboy still has a goal.
That's true.
Which is to get the haircut. But yeah, you're right. He really doesn't do much to try to stop Bibby from what he's doing. He just follows him around.
Yes.
But I think again, going back to the culture of the barbershop, not even just the barbershop, but, a lot of people very, very loyal to their hairstylists, to their barbers, especially out here in LA. Oh my God. Like, for the barbers here are trash, garbage. We'll charge you $100 for the worst fade you have ever had in your life. And so when I have found good barbers out here, I'm like, I will go to the ends of the earth. I will drive all the way out from Silver Lake to Culver City and sit in that traffic to get my haircut because there's no other option. So I think when you understand that, even if it's just subconscious, you're like, okay, I have to get my hair done. This is a really important event, and I can't just go to some other random hairstylist. I don't trust them. So I think just understanding that underlying motivation is what makes it heightens the humor even more. Because it's like, you could theoretically go to a different barber, but can you?
And he says he has a photo shoot that he has, so he doesn't want to take that risk. And I'd also think it's sort of like Bibby is actually the protagonist of this story, not really Paperboy. Like you said, he's the one driving the story. He's the one sort of taking all the action. And Atlanta does these episodes very well where they'll have these random side characters that sort of take over the story.
Scary white man. What?
Oh, Teddy Perkins.
Teddy Perkins. What the hell is that? Donald Glover just wanted to put on a white man suit, and be creepy.
He was like Michael Jackson. Right. That's what I interpreted.
That's what I thought too.
Michael Jackson, Teddy Perkins.
We never see Teddy Perkins again either.
No.
And that's another episode where it's just one character just in the weird house. With this man eating a ostrich egg or whatever the hell it was.
Yes, very strange.
Yeah.
Donald, he has an interesting mind. I'd like to climb inside that mind for a day.
Just a day. Just one.
No, I don't think I can take more than a day. So after that, Bibby is driving again. He promises, we're going to get to the shop. But then he sees his son skipping school. So then he chases his son down. And that part is really funny because they get out. The son, Lamar, is excited to see Paperboy, but also roasts him. He's like, why you ain't looking fresh?
Because your daddy. Because your ain't shit daddy. That's why I don't look fresh.
But it's so funny because especially I think the character moments for Paperboy do work because it's very opposite of his character. Like, you think of the pilot of Atlanta, this fool literally pulls a gun out and shoots someone.
Yeah.
And he has this thug persona, but this thug won't even say anything to a barber because he needs his haircut. So I think that sort of dichotomy is very funny.
Very vulnerable position. You can't piss your barber off because they could fuck your hair up.
That is
I had a barber here that I had to stop going to because she hit on me.
Oh.
And I was like, if I reject her, she gonna screw my lineup up, and I can't risk that. So you kind of have to just do whatever your hairstylist or barber wants you to do because they
could have done it and got free haircuts. Think that way.
But she wasn't cute.
Oh, sorry to this barber. Hope you're not.
She's not my type. Well, she's not my type. I'll just say that.
Hope you're not watching. But anyway, yeah, very funny episode. So finally, in Act 3, they return back to the shop. He's able to get that haircut.
Yeah.
And he does look pretty good. He's looking fresh. Mm-hmm. So we understand why he did all that BS. And it's funny because, you know, he just gets up and leave, and Bibby's like, "You're not going to pay me?"
The audacity.
And Al, you know, says all this stuff, like, all this crazy stuff you had me do. And you give me, like, the worst day, and you want payment? Bibby's like, "Oh, no, we had a good day." That's what's hilarious. He's like, "Oh, you mentored the children."
Went on some papers.
We ate at the white lady's house. You say, "We hit that Asian lady from the back."
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He rear-ended this Asian woman.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's just that character. He's constantly lying, constantly spinning things. And Paperboy even pays him after that. Like, he pays him, but he doesn't give him a tip. So I guess that's his little jab.
Yeah, that's as much as he can do. It is funny to see him be so passive in this circumstance.
It is. Yeah. And then in the tag, you know, he's learned his lesson. Next time he comes to get a haircut, he walks past Bibby, gets a new barber, but I feel like he instantly regrets his decision. The new barber, like, doesn't know what setting to use on his hair. You could see he's very uncomfortable, freaking out.
He doesn't even know, like, what to tell him. Because if you've been going to the same barber for years, you don't have to tell them what setting anymore. You can tell them the usual. Yeah. Like, I would just tell my barber, "Make me look cute," and he would just do it. But there was one time where, again, my barber was off doing something else, and I had an audition, so I needed to get a haircut, and I went to a different barbershop that was more of a traditional shop with, like, 2 rows of, like, multiple barbers. I walk in, all the men stopped talking the second I walk in. I was like, "Oh, you were saying some fuck shit. Oh, you were saying some misogynistic bullshit." And I get in the chair, and the barber starts asking me a bunch of questions I don't know the answer to. He's like, "Okay, do you want like a 1 or a 2 up top?" And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, "Do you want a hard lineup or a soft lineup?" And I'm like, I don't know. Just make me look cute. He made me look very handsome. I'll say that. No. I'll say that. Because a lot of barbers don't know how to cut women's hair. Yeah. They're, like, so used to, like, the really masculine. So I understood in that moment where he was like, I don't even know what to tell him what to do with my hair.
See, now that's why we understand why Al would just keep going.
Yeah, put up with it.
Go so far. So, do you think, my question, that last image of the scene is like he looks back over at the barber, he already has a new person in his chair. Do you think he actually went back again to Bibby? We never see this character again, but in my mind, I think he went back.
I think so too. I think so too. Man, like, once they really, like, got your hair down right, it's hard to say that you're gonna go elsewhere because they just don't have that muscle memory of your hair.
You would be Paperboy. You'd put up with it.
No, I wouldn't actually. I would go to a different barber. Like, okay. I mean, I just said I left my barber because she was hitting on me. She started sending me good morning texts and, like, unsolicited selfies. She'd be like, "It's my birthday." And I'm like, "I don't care. Ma'am."
So Kyra will leave a barber.
I will leave a barber. I left another barber out here because one time while I was cutting my hair, he got into a very heated debate about LeBron versus Kobe. I don't know why the debate was so heated. One of these people is not alive anymore. But one side of my fade was great, and then when he got really heated, the other side was like, So I've left barbers plenty of times.
Okay. Well, I like it.
Yeah.
Thanks for discussing that episode of Atlanta. We're going to wrap it up because, you know, you need to get a haircut?
No, I just got one for the show because again, I was not going to come in raggedy talking about no barbershop.
I know. That's just, I try to do puns.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Your hair is very beautiful.
Thank you. I almost forgot because I was like, oh, wait, I think they're taking video. And I looked at my hair and I was like,
you gotta look good.
So I had to make a last minute
This is not an audio only podcast. Yes. We do offer both, but we want to see.
Yeah, if you are not watching the video, my fade is very fresh.
Yes.
The fresh, it's not even 24 hours old, so.
Very good. Thank you. And would you like to stick around and answer a couple questions about your career?
I would love to.
Thanks. Every summer, In the Cut hosts a retreat. It's a chance for writers to come together and relax, build connection with professionals, and create intentional space to complete their work. You can reserve your spot for our 2026 retreat now, but act quickly, it will sell out. For more info, visit inthecutla.org/retreat. We're back with our guest, Kyra Jones, to answer a few questions about your career. So you started out as an indie filmmaker, I know that, but what was sort of your biggest shock from being an independent creator to getting staffed on a show, and how did that differ?
Yes. Yeah, so I got staffed in a really sudden and unexpected way, and this was during 2021, so everything was over Zoom. I was actually still living in Chicago at the time, so I wrote on both of my shows on Zoom from Chicago. And I think a lot of people who are currently in writers' rooms, they break in through being an assistant. So by the time they actually get a staff writing position, they've seen the inner workings of a writer's room. I ain't even smelled the inside of a writer's room before. So I got thrown directly into the fire. I got staffed with 3 days notice. I didn't know nobody who'd been staffed before. I couldn't ask anybody for tips. So I just had to figure it out on the fly. And so I think that was the biggest shock. And I'm also, it's so collaborative in a writer's room. And I wrote my web series with a friend. So, I was used to collaborating with like one other person or, with the production team. But, having 8, 9 different voices writing in the room, and some people not shutting the fuck up sometimes, and you having to let them not shut the fuck up. That was different for me. So just the collaborative nature of it, and just like, and then, the executives being involved and having to change things for their tastes, or it was a lot different than being able to be more of the like driving creative force, and also being the staff writer. It's like you're servicing someone else's vision rather than your own. So
yeah, it's a really big difference, like you said, especially if you've never worked on a show before. Being in a writer's room is a very unique environment, unlike any other working environment. So it can be weird.
It is weird. And there's not a lot of writing. It's mostly talking.
Yes. It should be called the talker's room.
Yeah, honestly. They should.
Writing, like I explain to people, probably 80% of my job is talking about writing.
Yeah.
And maybe 20, probably less than that, honestly, is actually spent writing.
Yeah. And sometimes, if you don't even get an episode, like if you don't get assigned an episode, you don't write pretty much at all.
Yeah, that is true.
You just talk.
That is true.
Yeah.
Getting paid to be a yapper.
Mm-hmm.
So you've sold several shows. I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast, that's what they aspire to do, but they don't really understand how difficult that process could be. So could you speak a little about the process of selling a show?
Yeah. I mean, it varies. Like every show that I've sold, it looked completely different. The process looked different. So like for Bingo Love, which was the show that I was developing with Sony. It was based off of IP. I was co-writing it with the writer of the IP. It was an open writing assignment, which they sometimes call an OWA. So that means they have a studio or production company has an idea or a piece of IP that they want to develop into a TV show or a movie, and they just don't have the writer, so they're looking for the right writer for it. So a lot of that project was already set up, and I just kind of got brought on at the final step. And that show, the the production company had a deal with overall deal with Sony, so we would only be able to work with Sony, I believe. So it was like the only place we pitched, and they bought it in the room, right? And then with my Freeform, the show that I sold to Freeform, that was an even weirder situation where my showrunner on Queens was approached by somebody from ABC Signature about an idea. She wanted a show about black cowgirls, and she told him, hey, find a black woman writer that you can supervise on this. And he immediately thought of me. I didn't have to pitch it. They just sent my deal. Like, I met with them. I just had a general meeting with the people from Freeform and ABC Signature, and I assumed afterward, and so did Zaire, my supervisor, we both assumed after the meeting that once they approved of me that we could go and develop the pitch. No, they just immediately sent my deal to the team like
that
a couple hours
amazing.
After, which has never happened to anyone, so don't expect that. And then with the Lionsgate show, which was an original idea of mine, it was a pilot that I had written. It was a mockumentary, and my reps just started, sending it out once I was finished with the script, and all of these production companies were like, well, we want it. And I didn't really pitch it because they'd already read the pilot. They just kind of already came. They were like, we love it. Can we have it? And there was like 11 production companies that were all fighting over it. And that was a similar situation where Lionsgate was just like, here's your deal. Because we know it's a competitive situation. We're just going to give you your deal. Mm-hmm. So I've had some pretty unique development experiences. But with the Lionsgate deal and with, most deals, so first you get the studio on, and you usually negotiate what the terms of your deal would be, and then you have to start pitching to buyers, so networks, streamers, and usually they give you what's called an if-come deal, so like you would negotiate what you would get paid if the show sells to one of those buyers, but if it doesn't sell, you don't get no money, which sucks. So I did not sell that show. That was kind of when the tide started turning in terms of more diverse content, and I was told in very coded language that it was too black, and so it didn't sell, and I didn't get any money, which is hard, and there's a lot of having to rewrite the pitch over and over and over again before the executives decide that it's ready to be pitched to buyers, so it can be a really long process. I was stuck in development hell on that Sony project for 3 years. And I will never see a dime of money for that, ever. Yeah. So
it sucks. But you've had very much, so much success so early in your career, which is wonderful.
Yes, I am very grateful. It has been like a kind of a roller coaster because we go from getting staffed on 2 shows back to back, and then the strike happens, but then I have a lot of development, but most of it's not paid, and it's just there's not a linear path to success in screenwriting, especially in TV writing, I feel like. So you just have to be prepared for those highs and lows, and luckily I was, and so I just don't expect that once you get your foot in the door, you don't have to keep hustling. You have to hustle continuously. You have to keep developing your craft, expand your skill set. If I had my druthers, I would only be writing half-hour comedies, but they're not ordering them as much. So you have to be able to write an hour long. You have to be able to write features. You have to be able to be a jack of all trades in this particular era of this industry. So I think that's what's helped me a lot is my ability to pivot. So.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think everything you said is 1,000% true and will really help people, especially trying to get started in the current state of the industry, which is very rough.
Yeah, it is rough. It is, but from what I've heard from all the other older successful writers is a lot of making it in this industry is just perseverance and outlasting everybody else. And listen, do I want to think about my credit card debt? No, but I'm still here, and a lot of people aren't. A lot of writers aren't. They've had to leave LA. They've had to leave the industry altogether, and I will just sit in my debt, and I will be here until my next job, and that is fine.
Yes, and you will get that.
I will.
I know you will.
I will.
So thank you so much for being on the podcast. Appreciate your time, your insight, and I know it'll provide value to folks.
I hope so. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks again to our guest, Kyra Jones, to the writer of this Emmy-nominated episode of Atlanta, Stephanie Robinson, and of course to the GOAT, Donald Glover, for creating such an iconic show. If you enjoyed this episode of the In the Cut podcast, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're listening. You can watch the video on YouTube or listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at InTheCutLA or on TikTok at InTheCutLA1. If you'd like to sponsor or advertise with us, shoot us an email, podcast@inthecutla.org. Until next time, stay in the cut.